and Mr. Ward's
His son, Ward.
We appreciate them playing music for us in the fall summer. I figured I'd introduce the band. That was about the biggest thing. But this is the last song of the night. Raise a glass to have some friends. Cheers. Cheers.
Listen to the words of this song. It'll move you.
Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and all the harm I've ever done, alas, it was to none but me, and all I've done for to memory now I can't recall, so feel to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be to you all. So feel to me the parting glass and drink a health whatever
proprietors along with your lovely ladies. I'd like for she is the Right Reverend Dr. Jim Todd to attend his most convenient occasion, barring he takes vacation. A small but fanciful container to county meat be distributed with some, and here's where it gets weird, U space BW equals Blessed MacArthur of Mac and his Lady Betsy should be prominently seen for visibility. So this was Bob's last request to myself and my friends to figure out what to do for tonight. So I thank everybody for contributing. I think this all worked out really well, and I think we served Bob's song. Thank you.
Would you all sing with us? Being here, I'm finding out a lot about my dad through his friends, his much younger friends, and his friends that are his age, and some older friends too. We actually have a few people that have traveled from great distances to come and speak about my dad, and some that are more local, and I'd love for you to come up and say a few words, if you will. Jeff. Jeff's been around for a little while with my dad. I think one of the first students that he might have taught here when he moved here to Georgia.
One of my favorite quotes is that life must be looked forward, but you only understand it looking backwards. And I'll tell you, in 1972, one of the moments in my life that changed before Bob came in. There's so many things. He was my band director during 8th, 9th, 10th grade, I guess is what it was. And I laughed about Bob at that time, did something really unusual. Valley Home was a small school, so Bob said, okay, we're going to let the 8th graders be in the marching band. And so that was an unusual thing. So to prove that he was right, I trusted him to do it. The very first show we did, I dropped my slide and my trombone on the field, the very first show. I remember a lot of stories about Bob. My favorite Bob Smith moment, we were playing the national anthem at a football game, and it was the part where the trumpets had this the fanfare kind of solo in the middle of it, and we had a student, and he's not here. I wish he was here. But we had a student that was playing saxophone at the time. You know what's one? Jack. You know, he was playing saxophone at the time, and it was the part where the trumpets were supposed to play, and Jack kept playing, and he had his eyes closed, and he was ad-libbing. It was an interesting moment in musical history, and Bob was trying to get his attention. And he's waving at Jack, trying to get him to stop, and waving. And he couldn't get him to stop, so he said, well, I'll just walk up there and I'll twist the mouthpiece out of his mouth. So he walks up the bleachers, he does this to twist the mouthpiece out, and Jack goes tumbling down the bleachers. And we're all trying to keep a straight face and play, and there goes Jack tumbling down the bleachers. And we were, our last year together, we were actually, we weren't a big fan, but Bob had made the program no better than anybody else in California ever had. But we were playing North Whitfield High School, and they had this huge, monstrous marching band, and Jack and Bob was trying to think of something to do. And I don't remember if the whole band was in on this, or if it was just me and Bob and Robin Finley who were in on it. Robin Finley was the drum major, and I was playing the sousaphone. Anyway, we finished playing something, and it cuts off, and I keep marching and playing and ad-libbing and going this direction and that direction. And Robin Finley, the drummer, is running out, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What are you doing?" Bob playing this out. And as she would turn toward me, I would turn toward her and march toward her, and she'd have to move out of the way. Well, finally, Bob had Robin go over to the color car and get one of the wooden rifles and comes up to me and points it, and the drum does a rip shot, bang! And I fall over, and the sousaphone falls over. And the cheerleading squad comes out with a stretcher. And they put the sousaphone on the stretcher and carry it out. You know, there's so many things. As I look at my adult life, he was the first person that ever get me to think about majoring in music. He was also the best salesperson I knew too, because here's how he got me interested in majoring in music. He said, "You know, Jeff, you're a good trombone player, and you could probably get a scholarship on trombone. But our tuba player just graduated high school, and I need a tuba player, and good tuba players are hard to find. They can always get a scholarship." So I said, "Okay, I'm in." And so I could play Bob in my bad bag. That's how I got to college, because he planted that seed, and that's good towards that. And there's just so much of my life that I think back is totally different because of Bob. And I still have the first guitar that I ever had, and he gave me my only guitar lesson. But my kids grew up with me playing guitar and playing with them and doing things like that. And again, you don't understand it when you're going through it in the moment, you really don't. But I want every one of you here to realize every moment you're out there, somehow it's going to affect the way things happen from now on. And Angel and Barbara and Mark and Robbie, wherever you are, my life is totally different, and my kids' life is totally different, and it's richer because of that period of time. When your dad meant the world to me, and I love him, and respond.
Thank you so much. This, you have no idea what an honor this is for me. And I'm a little emotional anyway, so if I get choked up, please bear with me here. But Mr. Smith, on multiple levels, changed my life. And all of us in this room can look back at our school times and think about our favorite teacher that we had. I was very blessed that I had two, and it's just by coincidence they're both band directors. We're both my band directors, Mr. Smith, and the other gentleman is in the room tonight, and I won't embarrass him by pointing him out, but I will tell you his initials are mom and dad. Oh, I'm sorry. But I would not be the man I am today, where I am today, were it not for Bob Smith and Mr. Gaddis too, so I can honor him a little bit over here. I grew up with a mom who had an affinity for Herb Alpert and King on the Brass. And I grew up having those melodies implanted in my brain, and to this day, I still wake up in the middle of the night thinking I probably need therapy for that particular song. But in the fall of 1974, at Dugout Elementary School, I remember hearing an announcement that they were going to have a beginning band at the school. God, wow, I can play these melodies that Herb Alpert plays. So I'm in the hall, and I see Mr. Smith, and he's standing there. Now, I'm a little toe-headed boy about this big, you know, and so for me, Mr. Smith was a giant. So I'm looking up at this man, and he's wearing this brown wool jacket. Anybody remember that? With a big furry collar, big brown buttons, and that. And he had that. So I'm intimidated. So I'm in the hall, and I want to go ask him. And my best friend at the time, Doug Swafford, you remember Dale?
Yeah.
Dale's like, John, go ask him, it'll be okay. No, I'm scared. So I said, Mr. Smith, sir? He goes, yes. I would like to be in the band, sir, but I want to play that thing that Herb Alpert plays with the 3 buttons on it. So I didn't know it was a drum band. I didn't know. My mom never told me. I just heard all the melodies. And to Mr. Smith's credit, he just ruffled my hair a little bit. He says, well, come on, John, let me show you what that thing is. So the rest is history, as they say. Jeff, you mentioned looking back at turning points in your life. So I was a trumpet player up until the 8th grade. And it's funny you mentioned he switched you from trombone to tuba at that point. At that point, he switched me from trumpet to baritone, what I now call euphonium. And had it not been for that moment in history, I wouldn't be where I am today. And he said, wow, Lord. I was struggling at that point with the trumpet, and Mr. Smith, he was so patient and caring. That's what I remember about him. And when he said, John, I want you to try something different, where probably most people would have just let it go. And he said, I want to show you this. And he takes me to the back, and there's an old beat-up baritone back there. And, you know, it smelled like it was from World War II or something. So when he kissed it to me, and it was like, oh, okay. That was a turning point. And I'm forever grateful because I still play that horn to this day. The same horn to this day. Mr. Gaddis, once I got to high school, I don't play that particular horn. But that's a stolen horn. It was stolen, yeah, from World War II surplus. But Mr. Gaddis bless his heart, indirectly helped me find that horn when I was in high school. And I still play that horn to this day. I played it tomorrow. I mean, you don't find people like that in Harvey. You get those turning points. But that changed the course of my life, Jim, just like you said. That one moment of care and caring. So, where I'm going with this, and I know I talk a lot, Nina, you're coming up next, and I won't take up much of your time. But from that point on, I went into aviation, and you say, well, how is that possible? Well, my family couldn't afford to send me to college. But because of that baritone, euphonium, like with you with your tuba, I was able to get a little scholarship to college, got a degree in music, and from there I was able to pursue, because of that degree, the career field that I have. So, any of you teachers that are in here today, you have no idea the impact you can have on a student just by one single act of kindness or one single act of patience. And that's what I remember the most about Mr. Smith. The other thing is, if you look at that painting right back there with a hat, I don't know what the medieval hat there, is that particular picture right there. Me and Andy Fletcher are the ones that caused him to look that way. We caused those things. Mr. Smith, I love you. And field of music, the influence that you have on me growing up, and the difference it's made for me and my family. And your legacy goes on. My little girl who loves music now, she's 10. And my mother is a little angry with you because as a 7th and 8th grader, you taught me the blues on the guitar. Thank you, sir. You will be very missed, and I love you. Thank you.
Well, it's really apparent that we all know here.
We can hear you, for sure.
Sure, yeah. It's really apparent that Bob was an exceptional person because the group of people that's in this room, the testimony to a life well lived or the life together along the way, and the people who miss you and remember you. My story is going to be different from everyone else's because I have no musical talent. My talent was preaching later in life because my talent is I'm a smart aleck. And I was an educator's nightmare. And as educators go, don't exactly why all educators need to be appreciated because it's an amazing task that you have to develop young minds, to build character. But some people are called to it, and I think that Bob was. He had this uncanny ability to see value and to see talent and to see merit in people long before they see it themselves. Certainly before we as peers could see it each other. And while other teachers were putting me in the hall and telling me to shut up and, trying to get me on Ritalin or whatever was going on, he encouraged me. He would say things like, I appreciate your wit. Oh, you're so clever. And even as an adult, when he and I reconnected on Facebook, what would we do without Facebook, right? We had quite some conversations on Facebook, and he was always an encourager. He always said, I might not agree with you, you don't know what you're talking about, but I appreciate that you can execute your opinion to me. He could be, and I can say this because I know myself, he can be very opinionated, and he can be very cantankerous, and he can be very stubborn, but he was an intelligent man, and I respected him, and I respect his viewpoint. Whether it was my viewpoint or not, he always made me think. And he shared with me that he valued the same things in me. So I feel like I knew him once in school, as an adult when I wasn't. And he was making me feel that I had potential when I really didn't say that in myself and went, hold on, people telling me that. And he really helped me to kind of hone the gifts we're given. Because we are who we are for a reason, and whether everyone's appreciating that in us or not, that's what we have to work with, right? And then later in life, it through Angel, because she and I were friends, and I stayed close to the family in some regard. He and I reconnected later, and he still challenged me. He still made me think. He still made me want to be appreciated and valued by him because I respected him so much. I think one of the last conversations we had was when I came to the hospital, and he was laying in the bed, and he was trying to say something to me. He had that mask on his face, and it was like being talked to by Darth Vader. I'm like, oh yeah. What? And so he pulls the mask to the side, and he says, I want you to talk. And I'm like, oh, Lord, a teacher asking me to talk. I'm like, yeah, so I got someone to write this down. But he had the ability to make people feel valued. And I think if we can do that for anybody, we certainly done something with our lives. And imagine the amount of people that he was able to do that for, not just because he was in a situation, but because that's who he was. He could have been anything. He was a musician. He was a thespian. I don't know what that big word is that means you can make guitars, but he can do that too. But he chose to be an educator. I think that was his calling. And I think that we've all been blessed because of him. I know that I have. And I don't think it really, your story was about music and yours was about music, but I think that he appreciated human nature, and I think he just wanted people to feel good about who they were and to realize what potential they had, and he certainly did that for me. And I'm going to miss him so much, and I know that you all are, and just seeing the group of people that are here to celebrate him today, that's an indicator to me that everybody knew what an amazing man he was.
for coming out today. And this is, as the boy said, this was exactly what he wanted. He wrote this out while he was in the hospital, that he wanted a celebration of life. He wanted to be remembered for the good stuff. And he wanted beer made for him in his honor, and it was. And it was delicious, by the way. Thank you so much. He wanted the music that he loved and enjoyed. Merritt, thank you so much for your performance. It was like he was in the room. You sound so similar to him when he plays. And so that's another thing. It's like he was always a beautiful guitarist, and he helped you find that same path, and it sounded just like him. So we appreciate that you were able to share that with us again. And then I want to thank all of his young friends. Again, that he has found after his own little group like moved on and moved elsewhere. He's got a great group of friends that have helped us through this. It's been very difficult, but they were with us through it all, and I know you'll still be there. And some of you know more than others. We had some that were with us through the entire event, and it was so sad to see him go. But he was ready to go, and he loved you all. So this is who he would want to be here. And this is exactly what he would have wanted. So I appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
All right, free beers on the house.
And we may all converge at the depot later in your